builder we have on Setsus from Bitscript. Dude, this is an amazing app. What's going on? Tell us all about it.
What's going on, Car, and everyone else watching? First off, super grateful to be here and very grateful for everything you guys are doing at the Top Builder program. If anyone watching this is even on the edge of considering applying, I can't recommend it enough. In multiple ways. But today I'm here to talk to you guys about Bitscript and what we've been working on. And of course, like any great product out there, this is a team effort. So, I'm the one here, but there's also, Seth Byrne, who's my co-founder, and we have another team member as well, Seth Pato. So, first off, I want to give them congratulations and kudos for helping get this far. So, I'm not sure if we want to make this a conversation, Core, if you want me to just go ahead and walk through.
Yeah, I think most people will be surprised just like how developed and so. Sure. I guess I don't know how to say. I guess you're just completely it's a really incredible product. So yeah, just show people what you're building here. I think it's pretty incredible.
Cool. Yeah. So we're working on a Bitcoin development environment, and that entails basically two parts that are, one more educational and one that's more traditional dev tools and or SaaS dev tools. And we're trying to cover the ground of, hey, you're a developer that has either, worked on another blockchain or in another niche of programming, and you want to get on board with Bitcoin programming. What do you necessarily need to learn? And we want to help, people that are just starting out all the way to advanced developers, the 100 to maybe 250 at most developers out there who are actually familiar and or have worked with script. And so we've been building out an array of tools here that I'm happy to walk through. So when you land on the site, you can see that there's two different call to actions. One is, again, more for beginners, educational track, and one is sandbox, jump directly into developing some script. So if we click into lessons, we can see there's a traditional roadmap of articles here, which this is something that we're going to continue upgrade. We're going to continue releasing. We're trying to release on a weekly cadence, but a lot of these are going to have custom designs. And obviously this ends up taking a good amount of our time. But yeah, so this is where if you're just starting out as a developer and you're curious, what is even a digital signature? How is it made, to, basics of what's in an input, et cetera, this is where you would start out. And from here, we have two other tabs or features that we would consider under the educational or learning path. So one is opcodes, and this is just documentation for opcodes that make up script. And if you click into them, we try to keep a focus on design more than anything. And so anything that, people have a hard time conceptualizing, we want to make sure we can show people what is actually happening in a stack. So here we see op-add, and we see, the code walkthrough, like what happens. And then at the top, we have the description, the hexadecimal code, etc. And so this is obviously, this is available. This is pretty free information on other sites, but we just wanted to, again, give a visual aspect to a lot of these, because when developers come into Bitcoin, the first thing they're surprised to learn about is that everything happens within a stack, which most developers that get out and start learning start more so with Python or JavaScript these days, which are phenomenal languages in and of themselves, but they definitely touch on the concept of a stack very, very little. And so that's why, again, we wanted to visualize that a lot to people. So in addition to opcodes, obviously we have, the most common scripts as well. So if you've seen the term P2P and you've wondered what that actually stands for or what it does, you can click in. We see a description of this script, and we also walk through every item that happens, and again, showcasing what is actually happening in a pay to public hash. In a pay to public key hash transaction. And so, yeah, these are basically the educational tools that if it's your first time, jumping into this environment, this is where you would start out. But then as you see above, we have develop and then learn. So moving from top to bottom, we have a data formatter, which, is exactly what it sounds like. So you can type in data and then it'll cast it to many different data types and also give you, big endian and little endian, which is also tools that, or, concepts that are not that common outside of Bitcoin script or outside of Bitcoin. And so these were kind of hard to find in other places. From there, we have a hash calculator. Again, pretty basic, but it's exactly what you would expect. You can start with the pre-image or the input, either in hexadecimal format or in string format. You can select the hashing algorithm that you want. And so here we have the Bitcoin related hashing algorithm. So hash 256, hash 160, ripe MD 160, and the two SHAs. And so obviously you can click to update the hashing algorithm, go back. And then as you can see, the output here is going to be 20 bytes as opposed to 32 bytes from hash 256. So again, both the hashing calculator and the data formatter, these are more utility tools that if you're actively developing, you're probably opening these up in another tab and, performing either like the hashing or the data formatter. So moving up, these are now the more unique and sort of advanced developer features. So we have, first of all, the transaction deserializer. And so you can click into one of these examples, or you could go ahead and find a transaction and drop it in there. And then you're presented with the hexadecimal format of that Bitcoin transaction. So the raw transaction. And if you hover over any part of it, it'll actually tell you exactly what that hexadecimal code means within that transaction. So here, as you can see, we're going through a transaction, and there we actually see the signature, right? Data size ops, a public key, the amounts in this transaction, etc. So if you're someone who you're getting into Bitcoin development and you see transactions on mempool or on other block explorers, and you're curious, like, how do we actually go from a raw transaction to, hey, there are this many inputs, there are that many outputs, this is the amount, etc. This is where we want to, again, educate and or provide research tools if you're more so working with advanced transactions and you want to see what you can parse through. And so
Zeus, how do people usually find this information typically?
I would say mempool is probably the best provider of this information, but it's definitely a tool that I use every single day, and I love that team. But we're trying to focus more on the developer focus of it, which is here, going from the raw transaction to the transaction, as opposed to a block explorer, which you kind of want to start with transaction, and you want to give access to the raw transaction, but it's not really as useful by itself. So that's what we're trying to do at the moment, is educate any developer on, like, hey, what does this actually mean within the transaction? And this actually links back to other pages. So for example, if we look at op_checksig and we see the description and we want to learn more about it, we can click on op_checksig and it would take us to that opcode page, just like we would have opened if we went through this UI. And yeah, this is now actually working with Taproot transactions as well, which is really cool to see. Which I personally think that Taproot alone has so many different use cases that people are just kind of scratching the surface on, because there's just not that many tools that have been built around it. So this is something that we're excited about, right? So there we see a Taproot output, and we should see a Schnorr signature there. Cool. So this is the deserializer, which we consider one of our three big tools. This one, which we actually built since we joined Top Builder, is an RPC UI, and we're trying to build basically like a Postman-like feature here. So right now, if we wanted to get block hash, we want to get the first block. It runs, and you would get the input here. And so pretty close to, again, what we're trying to build is more so a Postman. But one of the interesting thoughts that we've had here, Car, and this is actually alpha for anyone listening in as well. But what we realized is, having a sandbox feature here for developers to either learn or research, or while they're working, kind of just sandbox commands is useful. But if we really wanted to serve companies long term, ideally they'd be able to make an API request. And we started thinking on, well, what if we created a way where you could actually string together multiple of these commands in almost like a sandbox kind of way, and then from that spin that up into an API point that we're hosting for you.
Wow.
So yeah, chaining multiple of these commands together and then hosting that API for teams is something that we're a lot of conversations we've had have kind of been evolving around how to make the RPC feature more consistently useful than just basically research and or like testing purposes.
And just for the people at home who don't understand an API, can you tell them that? Setsus?
Yeah, an API is one of those ambiguous terms that you kind of just know what they are after working in tech. But basically, application programming interface, it's how a website can talk to the core functionalities of another website or of a server, right? So for example, like a lot of those like pop-up logins for login with Google or et cetera, those are pinging the Google API and or pinging the Facebook API. And in our case, Bitcoin has an RPC itself. And so what we're doing is providing a UI for people to first just interact with this RPC, which is what you see here. But like we're saying, the next level would be for us to be able to host custom APIs that people have built here to then build into their own apps as well. And then, moving on to the last feature here. So the script sandbox. This is an IDE for actually writing Bitcoin script. And as you can see, like everything else, we tried to keep a high detail to how does this actually work underneath the hood and how can we show that to a developer. So for example, here we're going to be adding the numbers 1 and 10, or 1 and 1,000. And so we type in 1, and you can already see to the right here that we have 2 steps, and you can go back and you can see, well, first we're preparing for, actually, sorry, I moved this to fast. We can go back. 1 prepares to push 1 byte worth of data. And then 2, we're now pushing the number 1 that we wrote here. And so, for example, let's now write in the number 1,000. And to the right, you can see that the stack visualizer is updating and now providing us with this op push 2 and then pushing this 03E8, which is the number 1,000, which we wrote over here. And so now to add both of these, we would start typing in op, and underneath you could see all the different operations that are popping up. Type in op add, and to the right you can see it's taking up both of those, and then it's spitting back out 03E9, which is indeed 1001.
That's amazing. Dude, I remember when you first showed me this, and I was just blown away, because all these guys talk about in the lab is this kind of stuff, and I'm always on the sidelines listening to them. I'm like, what are they talking about? And now there's an application where I can go and look, and not for them too, they can actually go and research. And then on top of that, like, how many times have we been at BitDevs and we have to jump on mempool, and everybody's trying to figure out the different parts of the transaction. So to me, this is an absolute no brainer. And then now you're throwing the API stuff in there. That's yeah, that's a game changer for a lot of companies.
Yeah, and that's it's obviously an ambitious goal we're headed for here. But yeah, any company that is involved with Bitcoin development, we want to be able to work with them. And so, that involves building out an array of products here. So yeah, it's been an incredible journey so far. It's been a tiring journey, but it's something we're very proud of. And I don't think we've nailed the revenue part of it quite yet, but I know we're building something useful because, and I've shown you this before, but the people that are hitting the website are staying there for 30, 40 minutes at a time and, using the tools. And so just excited that it looks like it's already helping people learn development, and however we can contribute to that mission and bringing more developers onto Bitcoin, we're happy to serve that purpose.
Yeah, and I will also say this: like, I think this is what I believe. I could be wrong, but I believe that it takes time to figure out the revenue portion of any Bitcoin company, and and I would say that as long as you stay in the game, like as long as you're in the game and you're trying to figure it out, because what you're literally creating has never been created before. A lot of companies are in the same position. We're literally pioneers, headed to this new land, and I think what you have is extremely valuable as a tool, as a research assistant of a sort. Just for me, who's a Luddite who can go and learn about Bitscript, and then just for companies potentially, right? So I think what you're creating is highly valuable, and I think once you get to that last part, which is it's going to be hard, but the more people that you get feedback from, the more people use it. And it seems like they are. So at some point.
Yeah. And not only too that we've had people we've had random sales now, which that's always been the huge, that's obviously like a big milestone whenever we start anything. But obviously it's just, there's the differences between random sales and something that is hitting 100K a month or something like that. Right. So 100%. Being patient with it and just seeing what the feedback is from everyone, trying to see where people spend their time and how they're using it and how they want to use it.
I mean, kind of what I see, I think the B2B thing makes the most sense. Obviously, yeah. And I'm speaking for myself here, but like even PlebLab does better on B2B stuff than like B2C or however you want to look at it. And I think you just have an incredible amount of information here that's just a treasure trove to anybody who even walks by it, passively through some other link or, as a recommendation. Can you tell people about how much it costs and if they wanted to sign up right now for Bitscript?
Yeah, of course. So as you see, as we've been walking through it, there's a free tier. So, well, at least for now, there's a free tier where anyone that hits the website, you at least have access to half of the articles and then all the tools, but with some limitations. So the transaction deserializer, you only have like 3 queries a day. The script sandbox, you can't save and you can't fetch a transaction or load a save transaction. And then, yeah, so if you have a profile, you can also see the history of what you were using, which, again, if you're doing research or if you want to go back to like what transaction you were visiting before, useful. But yeah, if I log out real quick, you will see, okay, going back to profile. So yeah, we actually removed the monthly option, which is something that I think we had talked about. To remove the monthly option, now we have yearly option, which is the beginner Bob package, which gives you basically everything educational, which means the lessons are all unlocked. And then you have more access to the tools. And then the advanced Alex package, which gives you full access to absolutely everything. Unlimited, in addition to if you want to hit us up for like personal things, you're more than welcome to. and of course, payment in the preferred currency of Bitcoin as well.
No, that's more than fair, I think. Go back to the USD. Yeah, I mean, because look at that, like the amount of information that you have at your fingertips, and then I know you're supposed to be coming to Austin here pretty soon, and everybody who I've talked to, I was like, hey, I think Sessu's is going to come to Austin. Everybody's like, well, I can't wait to pick his brain. So I think that advanced Alice version is definitely worth getting a chance to talk to you on a technical level. So totally worth it.
Thank you, Carl. I appreciate it, and I more than appreciate, not just your time here, but your energy throughout.
Yeah. Oh, thanks too. So if you're interested, where can they go to sign up?
Bitscript.app, and then click on the profile or use the deserializer or any of the advanced tools, and you will eventually be locked out and be presented with the same payment pop-up. But yeah, go ahead and go to bitscript.app. Again, either if you're just starting out in Bitcoin development or you're already contributing to BIPs, please use this. Tell me how I can improve it. Tell me what you want to see from us.
I would also say too, if you're like a meetup organizer or a head of a BitDevs or something, like you should have this. Like you should be pulling this up when you're reading through all the news and the PRs and all that stuff. And I will also say too, if you're just a pleb who wants to understand Bitcoin on a really foundational level, and it helps you with your arguments, this is a perfect application for that. And then also, if you just want to support a Bitcoiner who's doing, look at this. This is God's work right here. Like, they take it upon yourself to actually do something that is meaningful in the world. You should want to support this. I mean, what's 175 fiat? Nothing. Come on.
Right.
Come on.
That's an ordinal. That's an ordinal these days.
Yeah, that's like 5 visits to Starbucks or whatever. Come on, you can do it. Put down the Starbucks. Pay for Bitscript. Okay. Let's talk about Top Builder. How's your Top Builder? How's it been for you, the competition?
It's been fun. It's been intense and fun, fast paced. Like you said in the beginning, the community was and has been a big part of it, right? Just even connecting with other Bitcoin founders going through similar problems. That's been very, very valuable. And every single speaker that's come through has had something to contribute. And I think I've liked the fact that it's been a comprehensive panel of speakers. So it's not just, purely technical. We've had branding people, we've had marketing, go-to-market people, we've had business developers. So it's been interesting that a lot of the speakers that came through made it more of a holistic program than like strictly technical, which I think that served the founders very well. I think if you got this far, you probably aren't that bad on the technical part, but we could all use more help on the business part, right?
Totally. Yeah, I think that's been the most surprising thing just from my side is just how well it translated from the real world to the online world. I didn't know if that was going to work or not, but I was surprised. And we've been like really short-staffed doing it, so I've been like shocked that it's been a sprint. It's been tough, but I think it's going to come to a head. Like once we get top 5 teams here in Austin, I think that's going to feel like a celebration for all 5 teams because I think it's been a long ride. And I can't wait to see who the top builder is. Like, so it was I announced it today on RHR, but Matt Odell is also going to be a judge too. Yeah. So we'll have Matt Odell as a judge, Marty as a judge, Muzz as a judge, Lisa as a judge, and then Kelly from Wolf as a judge. So it's on them to pick the number one team. So I think whoever gets here will be in good hands, I think.
I'm trying my hardest to make sure, the issues are correct. But if I get through, we'll be training to pitch. We'll be ready. Yeah. We'll be ready for the moment.
Come to the lab. If you are listening or watching from home, come to Austin. It's happening March 14th, 2024. And you possibly could see this guy in the final round. I don't know. We're going to make this decision tomorrow, but it's possible. Possible you see Bitscript and you can meet them. You could pay for it in person, I'm sure. Whatever you want to do. Or you could just be a part of the audience and go get your ticket now. It's there's some links on our website. Hang out with all these top builders. Come to Pleb Lab, hang out. We'll have a couple parties that week. It's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna be at the Bitcoin Commons. All our friends will be there, and you'll be able to hang out in Austin and really see why we do it. We're really Bitcoiners here. I mean, this is a real thing. We have like 150 type of community here. I don't think people realize just how much Bitcoin is here in this city. It's so dense, and it's literally in like a circle. It's like 2 blocks. So anyways, thank you, Jesus, for coming on this thing. And then also, shill it one more time. Tell us where they can go for Bitscript.
Yeah. Go ahead to bitscript.app. Play with the futures. If you want to pay us money and help out, go to the profile tab at the bottom.
Awesome. We'll see you next